All right, so you're just seeing me going through and trying to fix this slot I made. So what I've decided to do for down here at this portion is I'm going to basically kind of copy what they do in Star Trek, the newer Star Trek. And Steve Ritchie does this with Spider-Man and a couple of others. I really like the ability to kind of return a shot to your starter lane, to the shooter lane, and so I'm going to have this be able to come up, kick the ball behind, and then here I'm going to have 3 stand-ups. And I started to do my slot for the stand-ups, and I did it backwards. I kind of matched this angle. I had it to where they're actually kind of angling into the playfield, angling up. So if you hit the ball, they just like continue and glance up into here. But that's not what I want. I want that type of ricochet. I want them slightly angled back at you, so they'll stay a little bit lower. So I started to compensate. It's all about compensating, right? Anyway, so I'm going to have to recut this hole. That's off, but I'll be able to get them in, at least kind of see how it's going to work, figure out wiring, etc. So that's kind of the main thing I'm going to do, I think, right now today. I'm a little bit out of it. Real life kind of came up and reared its ugly head and threw me off my rhythm. So much left to do. I'm kind of like, where was I at? But yeah, I'm going to go with that. I'm not positive it'll be the final thing we do with this area, but it's an interaction I've seen on several games I've really enjoyed. So I'm going to start with that, see if that works well. I talked in one of my other videos. Someone made a comment. I agreed that, you know, I didn't really have too many targets to hit other than just like shots, right? Like ramps and loops and everything else. I was like, oh, you're right. I probably need to like compensate a little bit, get the right balance of actual targets to hit also, like more precise targets. And I think that's correct, but I was going back through and looking at a lot of games, comparing to Keith Elwin's Godzilla, which is like my new favorite machine of all time. Even like Simpsons and Deadpool and Star Trek, even like Twilight Zone, which feels like it has like a gazillion little targets all around. At the end of the day, not quite as many as what maybe I was thinking. I think I'm doing okay. Like this pop bumper is going to count as a shot you can make. These targets count as shots, and there's like 8 of them here. Okay, we've got these drop targets that are kind of like a skill-based shot. We've got 2 or 3 already, and anyway, looking at like Godzilla, a couple others, there's really only like 4 that are just kind of like these like static targets that aren't part of like a loop or something more interactive. So I don't think I really need a whole lot more. So I think I do think I needed more. I think adding these in here are going to give enough different little shots you can make now to kind of like be like advancing modes, and adding a little bit of variety of the shots is not always just, you know, the upper third loops and stuff. There'll be reasons for you to kind of shoot the ball down here lower. So I think we'll have a good balance of some shots down low, mid, and then high to hit. We'll see. But I think it's going to be okay. I don't think we have to worry about throwing in like 5 more shots hidden across the playfield. Okay, so I'm going to work on that. To catch you up, I did go through and finish a little bit more wiring after the last video. The connectors came in, so I was able to go through and do the same thing. So I've got a quick disconnect for all my switch wires for the upper playfield. So these 2 connectors I disconnect, the whole upper playfield can come out. So that'll be great. I still need to go through and figure out all the wiring for my optos and exactly where I'm going to put that opto board. I've only got the 1 opto in right now for the VUC, and I've decided I think I'm only going to need 3. I'll have the 1 for the VUC. I'm going to have 1 at the base of the stairs, and then 1 at the top of the stairs up here. Okay, the one that was going to be behind the drop targets back here, I don't think I need it anymore. There's enough space where that subway shot ended up being. There's a lot more space than I thought actually. That I'm going to have this alley go just a little bit longer. I'm going to put a stand-up target back here, another square stand-up target, and I'm going to try having that be the switch that triggers this drop target to pop back up and lock the ball, instead of the optical switch like immediately right behind it. I think that's actually going to work out and be a little more reliable. I really have no idea, but I think it will, so we're going to try it. Anyway, so I'll end up putting a stand-up back here, and then we'll have those 3 optical switches, and I've got to go through and reprint out this bracket for the stairs. You remember I just kind of like cut that plastic 3D printed piece down and grind it down so it'd be shorter. So I've got to remodel and reprint that piece out and add a bracket. So at the top of this, it can also be holding an optical sensor. Okay, that'll know when the ball reaches the top of the stairs. So we'll have 1 up there, so it knows when the ball reaches the top. 1, so it knows when the ball is on the bottom. That'll control things there. And then the 1 for the VUC that's integrated. That's all the optical switches I think I need for right now. We'll add a stand-up back here. We'll add those 3 stand-ups. What else is left to do? We need all new metal ball guides. These are all rough, quick cuts. This one's got a couple different holes for an optical switch I'm not even going to use anymore. Maybe I'll use an optical there. I'm not sure. Okay, maybe there'll be a 4th optical. Maybe I'll do. I forgot this one to track to know when to put this diverter down. We might have an optical switch here also. But we need final ball guides. These are not necessarily the right length. This one's way too short. It's a hodgepodge of things, right? Because we've adjusted things so many times. So I'll need to go through. That'll be a separate video, different day. Maybe tomorrow. So I've got to do that. I need to get my ball trough in and my auto-plunger mech. Those are the last mechs to put in place. I probably need to go through and do those, I think, today to double check and make sure that the holes I'm cutting for my playfield, the bottom down here, are actually correct. I think they're good from what I mapped out of Deadpool, but we should always test it. So I think I'll put these switches in, I'll put the ball trough in, I'll put the auto launcher mech in. I think we'll call that the video for today, and then after that, I'm going to come back around. Actually, I think I want to iterate a little bit more on getting the stepper lined up and these pieces. So I think then I'll go through and we'll 3D print out these pieces. Maybe we can get that part done today, and get things aligned with that other stepper motor and make sure that is set correctly. And then all new ball guides. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Let's go from there. All right. So switches, ball trough, auto launcher mech. Let's do it. Okay. On to the trough. So we've got three parts here. We've got this little guy, which is the, I don't know what the fancy word is, but it's the guide. That's going to go right about there-ish, I believe. And it helps make sure that the balls come down and go into the actual trough. Okay, so that's going to go right about there-ish. Might as well put it on. Okay, and then we have the ball trough from Pinball Life. All right. Yay. All right. And this is our 8-ball trough, courtesy of Pinball Life. Basic coil, fires the ball up. And then we've got 7 switches down here. They're just physical switches with these little rollover pins. As the ball comes down, they get activated. And then the 8th switch here is an optical switch. So these will be basically just like our other optos. We have a receiver and a transmitter, right? So one side will get power in, the other side will end up grounding out and being the switch that we'll track. These are 4-pin connectors. I'll have to look up and see exactly how we wire these, which wires go where. But I know these have been used a lot in homebrew, so that shouldn't be hard to track down. And then the switches. Yay! So this guy needs to go right about there, right next to where I have my flipper mech. Just a little bit in the way. So I think you can tell we're just a little bit off. You can see the lip of the metal right there, and it's like perfectly flush on that side. Okay, so you could either argue that I need to make my slot a little bit smaller, perhaps. Maybe I made it too big. You see the lip of metal in here; it's like perfectly flush. So I can make it a little bit smaller. I mean, the balls are going to fit in and run down and hit the switches just fine. But yeah, I guess I could, not so much that I'm off, I could make it just a tiny bit smaller. But again, the trough, yeah, the trough can't come any further this way because of the flipper mech. So I think I just need to move the whole slot, like literally just like 2 millimeters that direction. All right, and this is our auto launcher mech. Okay, there's a snazzy little piece of hardware here. Let's see if it's going to be lining up or not. But it's a simple mech. It's got a coil. It pulls down. This little hinge here pushes this part forward. The ball sits here on the switch, and then we'll get knocked forward. So this is going to sit. This little switch is going to come up right through here. And I wonder if the way my rotisserie is, I'm going to be able to get in there. I'm not. I need to slide it all that direction a little bit. So these cuts are off a little bit also. Let's see if I can show you this. So the trough was right here, and the back of it is just, how well can you see that? The back of it is right like where I have like the little cutout for you to reach your hand in and lift things up. But it's so far down here, the front of it is too long. If I slide the trough all the way forward, it's blocking where this mech is supposed to be going. This is the edge of the playfield right there where this metal is. So if I slide that back, then I can slide the mech in, okay, just barely. But even then, it's a little bit tight. But the slot that I have for my switch slot is a little too close to the edge of the playfield. I put that in, and it's there, but like the switch is like getting pushed out, so I need that switch slot up a little bit. It's just bending my switch wire. So this slot, this line here needs to come up a little bit off, and then all this needs to scoot back just a tad. That's all we needed, just a little adjustment. There we go. Ta-da! All right, and then one last little piece to this puzzle. As the ball gets kicked up out of this trough, instead of just shooting straight up into the air, into the glass, it needs something to direct that ball. So we have this curved piece here that will sit into the trough, like so. Boop. It lines up with this piece back here. Those get lined up together. This goes up here. Anyway, and it directs the ball up out of the trough. Like so. Then our ball comes down, we're playing the game. It drains. Oh, is this one too tight for the height of the trough? So I don't know if it's because I'm just doing a straight 1/2-inch playfield plywood, but no, that can't be it. 17/32, it all comes down to 1/2 inch, but I put that trough in place, I put that cap down on top of it, and it's going down too far down into the trough, and so it's stopping the ball. Which is very weird. All right, so checked around online. It's definitely the right piece. Pinball Life Trough, Pinball Life Trough upper cover. One of the common things is making sure you've had that piece like slid far enough forward so that the steepest part here is not, too high up on the trough before the trough has gotten deep enough. I've got it as far forward as I can before the ball gets blocked coming out. Okay, so I can't slide any farther forward. Still doesn't work. So what I've ended up doing is I've got about three washers in between here, and that gives it just enough space for the ball to go all the way through. So I'm just gonna have to get little shims for my trough underneath and have it hang just a little bit lower so this can be flush here on the playfield and look nice, and that's what we'll do. So, but yeah, just a little bit of a shim and it works just fine. So we'll get that in there. I've got to kind of adjust this because now this is back far enough that it kind of changes where this gate was. This gate doesn't really line up like it did before. These two pieces here are supposed to kind of line up perfectly, and they're not. It would push everything a little bit further this way for me. All right, more to update and change for the next whitewood. All right, so we got that going how it needs to be there. The ball goes through. Barely. I feel like trying to figure out what to do next, where to wrap up this video. That kind of covers that, short and sweet. We've got to fix this. I got to get these cuts fixed to really be able to get those in. I need to get this cut fixed so those can be facing the right direction. Got my final subway thing underneath here. Then after that, yeah, this stair mech. I need to get the stair mech updated. And then we need to do our optos, and then we should really be able to start play testing and coding, right? So, new whitewood, metal ball guides, new pieces for the stair mech and optos. Okay, so I can do the pieces for the stair mech right now before I get a whitewood. So that'll be good. I'll do that right now, and then we can figure out optos. We can get optos wired and routed. We can get this wired and routed. Yeah, okay. All right, guys, that pretty much is going to do it for today. We've got this all wired up nice and clean, our switches all grouped, and coming over here our 3208. I did go through, and my high voltage had ended on this coil, I now tapped into that for these last couple of coils, which is all part of the plan. So everything from this half of the field, playfield down, is all on a single line of high voltage. And then all these mechs for the upper half are on their own. So that should be good. We got that split up pretty well. I did have to change. I have my 4-bank here and this pop bumper. I had the coil driver. I had them set up for this 3208 because I was like, oh, I got 2 more slots. I'll use those. I forgot, and I was saving those 2 slots for these 2 coils. So I pulled those out and rerouted them over to the 1616 board I've got in here now. That was to replace that 0804 because this one came in now from fast. So thank you, Aaron. Anyways, we got plenty of room to drive more coils over here. And then these 2 are now all cinched in nicely right here. These switches are wired up and in also. Then we'll need to readjust them once we get the white wood cut out again. We got to cut out the white wood differently down here. But that should be it for all of our mechs. All of our mechs are in place. They're all wired. They're all powered. The only thing left are going to be a handful of switches. Well, a lot of switches. Still have to do the switches for our in lanes here. I've got to do those optical switches, but we're getting really close. So, all right. That's going to wrap it for today. Thanks so much for watching. The trough and these coils are pretty straightforward. Again, they're just regular switches, regular coils. You hook them up and wire them like everything else. I'm going to go through and have to put in a little bit of spacers down here to get the gap right with the upper trough cover. But otherwise, I think we're looking really good. So, yeah. I'll go through and cover how I get these set up as ball devices inside the software, part of the configuration files, in another video. I've got a lot of coding to do, so you'll see more videos about the coding coming up, hopefully in the next couple of weeks before the show. But right now I'm just trying to get all the mechs in place, get everything wired. I'm still going to have to go through and do a little bit of cleanup and rewiring, exactly how my power and my quick disconnect was 9. I'm going to need a 12 pin connector, so I'll be changing that out here soon. All right, that's going to call it a day for today. I'm going to go down and start working on 3D printing some new parts for that staircase ramp, all right? Thanks for watching, you guys. I appreciate it. A little bit flustered today. We got so much to do before the show, but we're just going to keep at it. All right, thanks for watching. We'll see you around. Bye-bye.